Good day, guys. This is my piece of crap 2015 Chevy Cruze. I'm going to explain why you shouldn't be buying it. I'm about to trade it in. I just kind of wanted to document this crappy thing. The worst part about it is the transmission seals and the engine seals continue to go, and I've had them replaced every single year for the past 6 years. I wouldn't recommend buying it, and here's why. Alright, well, anyways, I'd just like to say that first off, it didn't come with these rims. I chose an LT, which means it came with steels. These crappy rims here with really bad Firestone tires cost an extra, I think it was $2,500. That wasn't happening. So I went to a buddy in Saskatoon after he crashed his one and bought his off him. You're gonna be like, well, that's not the stock color. And that's exactly what the guy, I'm not gonna say where, I was buying my next car from. And he's like, he didn't actually believe me that these were stock rims. And I had to explain that I plasti dipped them. I hate the silver that they come in. It was ugly, disgusting. These matte black, much better. Michelin's, matte black, Firestones are garbage. They wear out probably in a season. My last set of Firestones that I came with my Cobalt, I burnt those in less than a season. I wouldn't buy them. I wouldn't buy buying this. You gotta put something better on. For this model year, this is the front face. They only did this face, I think, for a year and a half, and then they changed to the newer, uglier style. I like the aggressiveness of it. They collaborated, and it was continuative or the same as the Camaro grille. It looks so aggressive, but that's where they get you. Because outside doesn't really matter, it's what is on the inside that counts. And trust me, what's on the inside really isn't good. So, Chevy bow tie, aggressive grille. I think the other one has like a derpy, like smile kind of face to it, kind of more rounded. It's got this aggressive lip here. People might think it's a body kit. It's not. It's how it comes from the factory. The lights, still not LEDs. I don't know why they wouldn't go with LEDs. Cheap, but it's not cheap. $25,000 Canadian isn't cheap. You can get so many better options than this. On to the biggest turd of this car, the engine. It's a 1.4 turbo. The transmission seals continue to go on it. Like I've said, attacking me already. Like I've said, that's a common problem with this piece. It will blow the seals continuously over and over again. For example, I just had warranty work done, and guess what? They had to replace all the seals and the oil cooler. And 2 months later, it's back to doing the same thing. And this is a common problem, and they didn't fix it in the newer model years, excuse me. They didn't decide to fix it at all. They left the same turd engine, same seals blowing. That's why they discontinued it in 2020. It's a frickin' turd. Who wants that? Who wants your car to continually be leaking oil and transmission fluid? The torque converter seal continues to go, and it makes a whirr noise. If you hear a lot of whooshing coming from this side of the engine because the turbo's here, you got a problem. A lot of problems. The whole transmission has to come off, reseal it all, put the transmission back on. The transmission is down here in the side of the engine. It sucks ass to do it too. You gotta pull all the plastic pieces off, and you gotta pull the whole transmission off, reseal it. My torque converter probably is taking a lot of damage and probably needs to be replaced, but GM won't replace it. I've heard other dealerships, they just replace parts if they know something's going wrong. Not GM. That's another thing that we need to talk about right now. Dealerships at GM. Crap. Service. Crap. I had to argue with the guy, and he didn't even know what the PCV system is in this car, and the dude owns one. And he thought it was a position crank valve or position crank something sensor. And I was like, no, this isn't a V engine, but I didn't explain it to him. PCV means that it has a pressure check valve. That's a big fail point on this engine. There's one right behind here, underneath the spark cover, and there's one in the back of the manifold. One is a diaphragm with a spring attached to it, and if it rips, your turbo is screwed. Same with the nipple in the back. It goes every 10,000 kilometers, and it needs to be replaced. I just had them both replaced for $600. And guess what? The turbo isn't controlled by the engine. The turbo is controlled by both the diaphragm and the nipple. So if both of those things tend to go, your turbo will grenade itself. It'll start to sputter, you'll jump on the line like this, it'll lurch forward. Wasp attacking my hair, but not a good idea. Literally. And this is a known problem. If you Google problems for Chevy Cruze, first thing, transmission seal. Second thing, PCV check valves. Go all the time. Not a good investment. Waste of $25,000. Oh yeah, I have a Ultra Racing strut bar on the front and the rear because GM would replace the rear shocks. So I said screw it, and levels itself out. garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. So like I said, one of the check valves is right here. It's right there. We gotta talk about one thing here that was really caught my attention when I first bought it. Color. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a dark brown metallic that fades into light brown. Might be more apparent here. Let's see. Casually zoom in. Just a little bit dirty, and I did just repair the paint with rubbing compound and with polish. The color, it's great. Absolutely love it. Super fire. What's not great are these really cheap door handles. I don't know if they should be moving that much. Makes a cheap sound. And on the interior, doesn't get much better from there. Lots of cheap plastic, you can hear it, I'll show you in a second. Other cars, for this same price, way better. Plush, leather, all that stuff. GM, 10-cent plastic door cards. This leads me to another topic of discussion. See how this trim, this should go all the way back to here. During wintertime, when it was icy and you open your door, it just rips them off. Great design. Let's talk about the booty. What I like the trim. I like that it has a backup camera there. The lights are cheap, but they look okay. Kind of ugly with that little swirl there. I don't know if I like it that much. Wasn't really a deciding factor. I chose the LT, where's my finger? I chose the LT because the LTZ has a bit of a lower bumper and it's got some ugly chrome piece. Super ugly, I wouldn't be buying it. But that's probably a $1,500 upgrade as well. Crap. And don't forget the key. Cheap key. We call it a switchblade. Oh yeah, pop this trunk. One good feature of this, it's got a big trunk. Huge, wide. Very handy for storing stuff. I've hauled a lot of shit in this car, but maybe that's not for you. The seats drop down to give you more room, but unfortunately the headrest of the back seats stab your back in your front seat because it's too darn small. Doesn't work. Literally you're trying to drive and you got a wedge in the back of your lumbar. Anyways, this comes out. It's got your regular crap. Like I said, this lifts out. And you got your standard crap. And like I said, you can see it right there, there's the rear Ultra Racing strut bar because GM would not fix the struts that were under warranty that were rattling since probably 20,000 kilometers. They're not a shock and spring, they're just literally a strut. It's crap. One quirky little feature, that actually has a place to grab. I always used to put my hand up here. It actually has a place to grab and pull down your trunk. Don't forget that. Just a side view again. Like I said, I painted or plasti dipped the rims. They shouldn't be black, but again, keep in mind, I don't know, you can't see it. Right here, the trim should continue. Like I said, if your door freezes or if you're in a wintry climate, better make sure that you're not ripping it open because you're going to rip off those extra trim pieces. Really wish I didn't put them in. I think they're ugly. So anyways, getting into the interior of the car, it has this weird fabric. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's got a weird fabric. I would rather had soft leather or soft fake leather, to be honest, but cheaping out on it. This piece just pops off if you need to do any maintenance. It has a pretty big glove box. You can see I still have this piece of crap on it. I bought it from new. Nothing special in here, manual, all this stuff. Lots of space, but cheap plastic. Got a little cubby hole here, which is kind of weird. It's about this thin. You can't put much in it. I don't get why it's there. The seats themselves, they're just fabric. They're like a plastic fabric too, so watch out if you smoke. If you burn them, it's gonna melt. It won't burn, it'll freaking melt the chair. It sucks. I don't smoke, but I've seen it happen to other people's cars and it sucks. It sucks a lot. getting to the cluster of the dash, it's old and archaic. For 2015, you still have a CD player. What? You can tell after a couple years that the plastic is wearing away, or the paint is wearing away on the shift knob, because I've used it so much, because it has manual mode, bam, bam, bam. Still has a cheap key rather than an electric start. They changed that for the next model year, but still. The worst part about this is the screen. The screen was small before, but it worked essentially. If you have an iPod and you'd like to plug it into the USB or the USB slot, it lags. The previous model year with the derpy face, it goes fast. No lag, no caching issues. This thing, I had to stop using my iPod because it lagged out. It wouldn't find songs, it wouldn't read anything. They won't fix it. They literally just don't care. $25,000 and you can get out of here. Literally, and when I went to the dealership and talked to them about it, yeah, that's what happened. I had to call GM themselves and say, look, this is crap. And it took me about 10 times until they're like, fine, we just have to replace it because we don't know how to fix it. Of course, typical GM doesn't know how to fix their own stuff. Who would have thought? Like I said, it's all kind of crappy plastic. The silver, freaking don't scratch it because it looks ugly after you scratched it. I was gonna pull mine off and plasti dip it. Nope, getting rid of it. This, the vents, if you have one of those map readers or something that holds your cell phone, don't put it on the vent, it's gonna break, I guarantee you that. Mine flaps around in the sun. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's got this two-tone, it's ugly, ugly, ugly beige kind of liner. They match it with the pillars. And they also match it behind me. It's not good. Like if you're touching this, it gets dirty quick. It sucks, guys, seriously. The steering wheel itself feels cheap. It's hard plastic. Mine, definitely don't let yours sit in the sun. If it beats down, sun beats down on your steering wheel, it's gonna melt it right down to the metal. I literally had to have them pull off the steering wheel and give me a new one. And they wouldn't admit it, but I knew it right off the hop. As soon as I pulled it off the line, they broke my inner tie rods. They had to replace the whole steering rack because the jerking motion, getting this off, broke both of the inner tie rods. And the manager said, no, 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 it's not us, it's you. And I'm like, buddy, no. The violent motion to get it off, that guy was angry and hated his life trying to get my steering wheel off because they're not easy. Don't let it sit in the sun. If you got one, get out here. Another complaint I have about this car, it has all these features that after you just gave them $25,000 or whatever it is now, this is worth 12 or 13. After you just gave them $12 or $13,000, then you got to pay $30 times 5 for each particular service. If you want map, that's 50 bucks. If you want all the OnStars, it's 39 plus 39 plus 39 plus 39 plus, I think it's 50. If you want XM radio, that's another, what? I think it was a $200 or $300 a year. So after you buy their car, then you have to buy all this other crap along with it. And OnStar is owned by GM. They could give it to you for free, but they don't. Scumbags. That's literally what it is, a scumbaggery. If you get the upgraded sound system, cool. It's Pioneer. The rear doors, they don't put speakers in them at all for whatever reason, but you get Pioneer speakers. Great. So when you turn it up, all the cheap plastic it has in it literally rattles, shakes, so you can't enjoy your music. I turn it up about halfway, and after you use the driver window controls, they buzz so loud over your music that you just don't want to listen to music anymore because it just sucks. Literally, it's zzz, and you're just like, why? And I asked them to replace it. All they did was just lift the piece up. They didn't even replace the window. Like, why wouldn't you replace them? They're 5-cent pieces. But nope, of course not. You know what? They'll gladly take your money, but under warranty, they won't do shit for you. What's up with that? You buy a $30,000, $25,000 car. If you get a diesel or an LTZ, $30,000. If you get one of those types of vehicles, they don't honor warranty. You have to literally fight them tooth and nail to get that way. And that's what I found over my 5 years, and with my Cobalt, and with my G5. And I decided that I will never buy a Chevy again. When I bought this car, the dude's like, oh yeah, you just gave us 25 grand? So what? I don't care. Get out of here. I was like, what? And he wouldn't honor my stuff, and it's just like, dude, are you joking? I just gave you this money, your company this money, and look what's happening. It's despicable. So then there's another knock on why you shouldn't be buying this car. Service. Service is garbage. There's a reason why GM and Ford are tanking. So me being a tall guy, I have lots of headroom in this, so don't worry, there's still about that much headroom. And the seat actually does go down even further than that. What's a really odd design is if you want to adjust the back, there's a tiny little lever that you have to reach all the way back to. It's really bad design. Like I said, cheap plastic, cheap window controls. From other companies, from other car makers, the window controls are great. Everything just feels cheap about this car. Like I said, you get Pioneer sound system, but it freaking rattles so much that you hate your life. The steering wheel feels cheap. Feels cheap. I don't know what else to tell you, it just feels cheap. I wouldn't buy it. Cheap. There's probably about 10 other cars that I could think of that are cheaper than this, that are much better quality, guys. So anyways, if you really like this car, it has hand controls. I'll show you them in a second, which is nice. That's a feature that every car should have. Probably took them 10 years to get that. You still have the analog dash, but you have a nice kind of digital dash in the middle. Like I said, everything else kind of feels cheap. I'll show you the back. The back's cheaper than this. And like I said, there's not much room, so I'm gonna try and fit in here, and I'm almost 6'4". So let's freaking try this. So if your seat's all the way back in the front, I don't think you could ever get a passenger in the back. Check this. I barely fit, guys. Like I said, same kind of cheap. I think these are just faux speakers. I don't actually think there's anything in there, which is even cheaper than that. The same cheap fabric. It's like almost plastic. I don't know what to say. Must window tint. That was aftermarket for sure. Feels cheap. Oh yeah, this one. If your chair's back in, you look. There's not even any room. There's about that much room. Yep, not good. And I have no headroom in the back either. I have to slouch, and even still, I have no headroom. They have a coat hook, though. Of course, if you're a businessman, they have coat hooks. Wow. Oh, good Lord. Oh, my. Anyways, look. There's the back, and like I said, look, there's no room there. That's my driver's seat. So, and the cheap door cards with a faux speaker. Oh my God. Listen to the way they close. Cheap. There again, like I said, this piece just popped off. Looks ugly. Look at that. Like glue, just popped off. Ice was here and it just ripped it off. I'm surprised this didn't come with it. But you have to admit though, that color is fire though. People think it's black, and that's what I love about it. It goes from dark black to light brown. Alright, so I got you off the tripod. Have a look. Like I said, I restored the paint, so yours over 5 or 6 years probably would be a little bit more dull. I used rubbing compound, polish, and then a polymer wax. I ordered some shine armor, but for those who wanted to know how my plasti dipped rims are doing, they're great. The front's actually held up well, and if you remember from my video eons ago, the front of the rims were painted with like a cheap Canadian Tire off-brand. It stunk, and the rear of it was painted with actual plasti dip, and that's on all four. You can see a little bit that it's coming off. Yeah. I don't think I put enough, but other than that, they lasted almost 4 years. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, if you're thinking about keeping this clean, it ain't staying clean. Alright, so here's the view you're going to see the most. Like I said. Yep. Alright guys, so you can see lots of headroom. Like I said, it's a two-tone. This is cheap. Feels cheap. I don't know what these guys and what they're doing here. So, like again, you can see the interior a bit. It's got this like, let's see here. It's got this like kind of textured pattern to it. Like I said, it feels plasticky. You get cheap little mats that come with it. Definitely want to get those up. Like I said, this scratch is super easy. The paint on this, you can see it's wearing away. Flappy Bird there. Yaw. So feature is, I think this is where you talk into, or that's a speaker. I think it's where you talk into. That's a speaker. They hurt your ears, they're so tweety. I hate it. It's a bad decision. So anyways, here, let's check this out. Oh yeah. So like I said, you get this key. My first one already broke. The unlock button doesn't unlock. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and just put her in there. Pay attention to what I'm doing actually. And the car comes to life. Oh no, the dreaded ding! Ugh, it's horrible. Let's see, it slowly comes to life. Let's see the dash a bit too. Hi! So, you got all your features here. You got XM that you have to pay for, AM, FM, Stitcher. I don't even know what Stitcher is, guys. Might be their own proprietary. Like I said, it has a CD player which no one uses, so let's just go into the features here. You know, you can do your now playing. So slow. You got your phone, AM, FM. There's this freaking wasp, man. Get out of here. Anyways, attacking the wasp. So, like I said, you have XM, you have Stitcher, which I've never heard of, CD, USB, you have your auxiliary, Bluetooth, tone, configuration, messages, which only with the current update to Apple started to work. I don't know if this has CarPlay, pictures, which I've never used, audio info, configuration, you can go in, can't do much, languages, time, date, radio settings. You just touchscreen too, I can go back. Phone, display, not much there, you can turn it off. If you want it back on, just touch it. And vehicle settings, which is pretty cool. So you can go language, time, date, radio settings, vehicle settings, there we go. Available in this ignition mode, so we gotta start this beast up, I think. Oh yeah. Just do a little bit of a startup here. See when you get the starting, checking. I guess I can cycle through this. You get a couple of things here. Metric, you can change it. Shows all your voltage, which I better start this car up. Oil. You can go back and it's got like all these little navigation, timer. You can use trip timer. I've used 8,000 liters. It shows your speed and you can have it off. I prefer to have it at that and so you can see your mileage. Oh yeah, the climate control is really loud. But it blows. Literally. Anyway, there you go. Like I said, you got all your stuff here. Source, you got your cruise control. Steering wheel feels cheap. When mine rotted through, it rotted through here. Right there, it was wearing down to the metal. There's your, whoops, can't really see it. There's your OnStar stuff. It's got a couple little quirks. It's got two cup holders there. If you actually notice, there's a cup holder here too, so that's if I into oil, sorry guys. So you can put a cup holder there. It's kind of just for a small drink. They have one on each side. You can see it in the cubby hole, and you can store stuff in there. Decent enough size. Made, by the way, best mosquito spray of all time, made in Canada. Yep, not much in here. Lots of room for stuff. And like I said, you got your auxiliary and your USB. Wouldn't recommend using the USB. It's slow as heck for whatever reason. They screwed it up this model year. I don't think they fixed it in the next model year either. Got this odd little cubby hole, and it's freaking awkward sometimes when stuff gets stuck in here. You have to like, and you got a little holder here too. They're trying to maximize space, but it's not working. Over here, you got this, you got your window controls, nothing special. Cut the back. Yeah, there's really, I mean, for features, not much. For the first 5 years if you buy a new, or for the first 3 months if you buy used, you get the app which you can start your car from your phone. But to be honest with you, it's slow. It works wherever around the world, but it's slow. Like I said again, it's got that weird two-tone. Alright, let's hear a rev one more time. Guys, the door slamming is the worst. I hate this noise. Sounds cheap. Super cheap. Do it on the other side too. Hopefully I like the paint. Work my butt off on it. It's got these like weird black points here that they finger mark real freaking easy. I hate it. Sucks. Looks nice on the outside, but the internals are not good. Another weird little quirk that you can see, it's got these lines going through it. I don't know if that makes it more or less reflective, but it definitely helps to see, for sure. Like I said, this has a backup camera, it's hiding underneath here, they have it tucked away. See it there a bit. This crappy dealer sticker that I could never get off is what it is. So for a recap, guys, if you want a car, looks good, fine, but keep in mind it's underpowered for a turbo. It's very good on gas, very good. I can get over 1,000 kilometers on one tank if you're hitting the highway. That's a very good point on this car. I'm knocking it really badly, but it does save you gas. So if you're looking for that, if that's what you're in the market for, hit it. It saves you gas, and it's a very, very efficient car because turbo actually eats its own exhaust. It feeds itself exhaust and then sprays a little bit of gas into it. And so that, literally when you're on a trip, I've driven to 14 hours to 2 different provinces across, all the way to British Columbia, all the way to Winnipeg and back again. So really, I've gotten probably over, I've seen it climb up to 1,200 kilometers. I just went to Winnipeg, I've just changed my spark plugs and I got about that again. So if your car is running in top notch, you'll hit very, very good mileage. It's a good point. Other than that, if you push the car too hard, if you step on it and it redlines a little bit, you're gonna blow the seals immediately. Done. You'll hear it go brrr, and then the seal's gone. And you'll hear a whir coming from the driver's side. The freaking dealership thought it was the turbo blowing. I was like, no, the turbo's working fine. You can hear it whistling. The freaking manager thought it was a turbo. We don't do that warranty work. It was, and I took it back to the dealership 3 months later with the same problem, and another technician found out that all the seals were leaking again. Just to recap again, if you're looking for something that's fuel efficient, by all means, but make sure it's in warranty. If it's out of warranty, oh, you're looking for a herp. I think to pull the transmission to fix the seals, it's like $2 grand a piece. Not a good investment, that's why I'm getting rid of mine. It's making the whirring noise. But if you're looking for fuel mileage, there's a plus. So it has styling. Not this one is 2015. They only made this body style from 2015 to middle of 2016. The previous model looks like the derpy face. I didn't like it, I hated that face. And then the 2016 to 2020s, they're just ugly. They're trying to be a Civic is what it is, and they're not. Civics are nice. Freaking Cruzes are not. So really, if you're in the market to get hurt in the long run, this your girl. Like I said, there are much better options that you could choose from than this. Don't be fooled by the styling. If you like Civic, go get a Civic. If you like Toyota, get a Toyota. Don't compromise, trust me. Just $3,000 or $4,000 extra dollars you'll spend, or a Toyota's $5,000 less for a base, you'll thank yourself in the long run. Anyways guys, I hope this was informative and I hope this makes you choose the right decision. If you're gonna go for one, fuel mileage is key. It's slow, it only has 150 some horsepower, very slow, underpowered. The RS version only has 180 and it's non-turboed, 1.8 liter. This one's a 1.4 turbo. So I guess it's all up to you. It has LED lights in the fog lights, but it doesn't have LED lights here. New Toyotas, LEDs all around. I don't know. Something just doesn't make sense. But it makes sense on why their business is failing. Take it easy guys. It's your Canadian pop collector. Take care.